Yo, yo, yo. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Brown and Orange Weekly. I am your co host, Clarence Wilson, and with me, as always, is the man, that guy, my dude, James Elfrich. James, what's shaking, man?
Clarence, how you doing?
All right, man. All right. I'm trying to avoid whatever's being circulated around this flu or bug or whatever's happening that's running through my family. So far, I've avoided.
Well, hey,
And
as long as that bug, you avoid that injury bug like the Browns need to do, that would be something great right about now because as you can tell, and you've been watching, I know we're recording this a little bit later this week, but, the injury bug is back, but we want to definitely recap what happened last Sunday at home against Jacksonville. Final score, Browns 31, Jacksonville 27. I know everybody knows that by now, but what a great game, Clarence, to bring Joe Flacco into the stadium where he has a probably second winningest record as a starting quarterback behind Roethlisberger. And man,
don't
did he
remind me.
show up?
Yeah. He played really, really, really well. I it's crazy because we are continuing to just throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, but we keep winning. So it's kind of like, well, can we keep winning this way? And with just I guess throwing the ball 40 times a game, but clearly we can because we keep doing it. So um, I'm kind of I'm in awe of what we're witnessing with Joe Flacco. Well documented. You know my concerns. I was like, he's different. He every other quarterback we have is mobile. He is not. We're down tackles, which we're down another tackle. We'll get into that later. Um, I thought he would be for sure in trouble behind that patchwork line, but that has not been the case whatsoever. Um, Joey Flacco, what was it, 26 for 45 for 311, three touchdowns, only one pick. Um, I don't even. There's nothing else needs to be said. That guy. I'm glad they signed him to be our quarterback for the rest of the year. We'll have to get into something a little bit later, as you know, because me personally, I'd like to see him back next year, but we'll dive into that.
Yeah, as you mentioned, 45 pass attempts was great, over 300 yards. But anytime you have a quarterback, 300 yards, three touchdowns. I mean, he did have one interception. His quarterback rating was 92. We'll take that all day long. 300 yards, three touchdowns. We did have three turnovers,
Mm-hmm.
but thankfully our defense showed up and was able to turn them over four times. I think we still lead the league in giveaways, which is unfortunate. But and Joe mentioned in the press conference and after the game that he felt like he played kind of sloppy, and for us to say, he played great, but he still sees room for improvement. That can do nothing but benefit us and the team going forward.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Um, we haven't seen a whole lot of 300-yard passing games here over the last few years, so for this guy to come off the couch, basically play a game, then come out and toss for three bills, I'm shocked. I am happy, and again, we're winning. It's hard to criticize winning, even though, like I said, 45 pass attempts. That's a hell of a lot compared to what about 28 rushing attempts, which includes four by Flacco, so 24 rushing attempts by everybody not named Flacco, and that also included one by DCR. Uh, Again, I'm happy that we're winning. I'm just concerned that at some point, if we don't establish a run game, we might be in trouble. But it's not looking like we've needed one of these last few weeks.
Yeah, and it's not for lack of effort. Jerome Ford, 12 attempts, 51 yards. I got concerned when he got tackled there on the sideline there on the Jacksonville sideline that he looked. You saw him when he got up. He looked a little bit hurt, and I was like, every time somebody goes down now, I have concerns because the amount of injuries that we're now dealing with that we saw during the game, but then also at the beginning of this week.
Yeah.
We found out losing Jawad Jones for the season, uh, Jed Wills now. So there's two more tackles that are gone, and thankfully, I guess when you look at those two positions right there, yes, they are very valuable. Obviously, the tackle position is highly valuable, but everybody that played in the win against Jacksonville will be there playing against the Bears this week. So that's one good thing that we don't have to feel like that we're going to have a fall off, or how are we going to perform because the guys showed up against Jacksonville, which if they would have won, would have been the number one seed in the AFC, but I believe they dropped to the fifth, or was it fifth seed?
I believe so.
Or four seed? No, four seed. I
Four.
think. So, Dolphins went down against the Titans. So right now, this is that kind of time of year where we've talked about any given Sunday, and you're not really sure what to expect, who's going to show up sometimes. But the thankful thing for us is we know what we're going to show up and we're going to play hard. But a little bit later here, I do want to ask my question that I put out there on X this week. That to me is very important going forward for the rest of the season.
100%.
But yeah, it was a fantastic game to watch. Anytime that we can throw the ball as much as we did, do we want you and I are about balance, but to throw that much and to actually look successful doing it. The 2 touchdowns to Njoku, fantastic. And then the play for 4th and 5, I think it was, to David Bell on that stacked wide receiver group on the right side. That was for him to go uncovered like that, you pick up a lot of yak that way. And then, you think about the Amari Cooper play where he actually fumbled. Hell, that might have been another 20 yards on top of Flacco's total. So, hats off to Flacco. Thankful he signed through the rest of the season as our starter. And one shout out I want to give, though, too, when we talk about our offensive line, and it's our 2 guards. I don't think Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller get enough love on this show or even a lot of the other shows that are local here. Those 2 guards, man, are just absolutely balling out, pass protection wise, but also on those run plays. When you see those guys pulling to the other side of the line, look out, because both playing it at an all-pro level, and I think those guys are the anchor of the offensive line right now that are making Joe Flacco look fantastic and the rest of the offense.
Agreed. They're kind of like the last men standing on that offensive line, and with all the injuries that the Browns have had, so across the line, so they have absolutely held it down and kept Flacco upright, which is great. You mentioned it, the injuries. Like I feel like every time I open my phone yesterday and the day before, the Browns have a new injury. As of right now, all 3 of our running backs are questionable for Sunday versus the Bears. You mentioned Ford with his wrist. Kareem Hunt questionable with his groin, and Pierre Strong is questionable. No designation I didn't see, but I'm just wondering, like, how can he be questionable because they don't give him the damn ball so much? But looking at the injury report, it seems to be an illness. So,
I thought about that. You mentioned about Pierre Strong. For as much as he does on special teams, my guess is that they factor that into his snap count, if you will, or time on the field, and they know how valuable he is out there. So my guess is that's probably why we see limited carries for him. Even though we just keep waiting for him to break through, and maybe this is his week. I think we're going to get one, though, Clarence. You and I, we're going to get a Pierre Strong, let's say 20 to 30-yard touchdown run somewhere mixed into this. Somehow, some way, we're going to see him hit the end zone before the end of the regular season.
You know what? It would be really nice. Again, the guy's so explosive. He just every time he gets the ball, he seems to. He just looks like he's going to take it the distance. His legs are moving fast. He's just explosive. So you know me, I will be the biggest celebrator of Pierre Strong scoring ever. I'd like to see him back again next year as well. Um, but yeah, I guess back to these injuries, it just is not stopping. Like Thornhill is Thornhill is questionable. Um, Double O Ogbo Oronkanko. I butcher his name all the time.
I'm glad you did, and I didn't have to.
Yeah, that's why I've been calling him Double O the entire time.
That works for me.
Chances are he might be able to make back, but he has a pec tear. Delpit, that one kind of came out of nowhere on Monday, I believe. Now he's on IR, so he's gone for 4 weeks. Um, are we going to be able to make it through all these injuries? Like, I feel like every time we come out of a game on Sunday feeling good, something brings us back down to earth.
I guess if the team's not going to doubt it, then maybe we shouldn't either. As Browns fans over the years, we become critical, and we become Debbie Downer about what's going on with the roster and the losing and all that crap. But I really think that we're going to be able to, based on our schedule for the rest of the regular season, I think we're going to be able to survive and advance, if you will, at least enough to make the playoffs. The question is how many more wins can we get during the rest of the regular season? That's my big question. And Stefanski talks about let's go 1-0 this week, and the players are talking that way too. And I guess that's kind of mentality we got to have, is just week to week, because we don't even know who's going to be out. Poor Grant Delpit finally gets rewarded with that contract extension, gets a W, and then you find out IR for that. And it's you hate to see, for a guy that had a great week individually and as a team, to have that happen, but it's just part of football, man. It's like, but the difference, I think, Clarence, that we see in this team is it's an actual team.
Yeah.
And there's an identity, and there's a toughness, and there's a belief that for every game that's on our schedule, we can and we should win that football game if we show up and play our best ball. And that's no matter who is lined up next to you. And that's a special thing to say, because I don't think I've been able to say that since this stadium in '99. That I have to go back probably to old Cleveland Stadium, maybe one of those Belichick teams that made the playoffs. I'm not counting the ones that made the playoffs from since '99. So what was that? 2002, I think we made the playoffs.
Yeah, 02 with Butch.
Yeah, and with Holmgren, or not Holmgren, Kelly Holcomb.
Yep.
But that's a totally different team. Look how many points we gave up in that. I mean, we scored a lot, but we didn't have a defensive identity.
Mm-hmm.
And the Baker team that went into Pittsburgh, we had everything go right for us at the beginning, right? I mean, we got hot, don't get me wrong, and that was a beautiful win. Every win in Pittsburgh is a beautiful one, especially one that's a playoff game. But this team is just built different, and you can just get that feeling from the locker room to the field that they're all on the same page. And it's such a – and maybe the thing that maybe we're not looking at, Clarence, that's different this year than last year too, was when they had that trip to West Virginia prior to training camp actually starting in Berea. I think there's something to be said about what was built there that they brought back to Berea, and they've seen success from it, and all it's did is galvanize whatever was put together during that time. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. It's kind of crazy because in past years, pretty much since '99, it's not like we've had a great starting quarterback really at any point outside of Baker had his year. Um, uh, what's the season of dreams? Derek Anderson had his year,
Oh yeah,
but
Kellen
outside,
Winslow, Braylon Over.
yeah, Holcomb. Everybody has a year, but historically, since we've returned, when the Browns don't have their starting quarterback in, who no matter how bad they may be, um, they're awful. It seems since '99. This year, we're literally down to the fourth QB that we signed off the couch, and honestly, I didn't really have any expectations. I was in that kind of mind state where they get blown out. I'm not going to be shocked, right? Because this is what we've kind of been accustomed to. But Flacco's been playing well. Uh, the There is something brewing with this team. I'm not sure what it is. I've been a big critic of Stefanski and his control over this team. I felt like there were issues that have happened in that locker room over the last 4 years that kind of signified that maybe he wasn't in complete control of this team. You had the Baker Odell situation. Last year, you had guys on the defense, coming out and screaming, "There is no leadership on this team." All these kind of things. I've always kind of questioned his kind of grasp on the locker room. I don't question that right now. I don't question that at all. So there is something brewing with this team. I'm not sure what, but for them to be able to come out week after week and play well with just the rash of injuries they've got, on top of you know poor quarterback play or rookie quarterback play or USFL quarterback play, and all of a sudden it looks like all we really needed to do was, pull old Joey Flacco off the couch, bring him in. He fits in seamlessly with the locker room. Guys seem to respect him. I don't know, man. Something is brewing in that locker room, and it's a good thing.
And it looks like a balance thing because at the beginning of the year, we know how strong the defense was. When is Deshaun's rust going to break off? When is everybody going to be healthy? And Joe Flacco, I believe, has given the locker room probably the greatest sense of confidence that we've seen all year. And that goes back to when the defense was even playing at a more elite level and Deshaun was healthy. And that's something to be said to be here mid-December now. What today's the 14th? Mid-December, and the confidence level on that locker room is, I believe, at its highest point that it's been all year. And it's because, and it shows you how important that quarterback position is and
Mm-hmm.
how we have to have some stability there. Hell, we're the Cleveland Browns. We're the home of the quarterback jersey. All those different names. And I know this is something you want to touch on, and so we'll go ahead and kick this off. Is that with what Flacco's doing, gets his contract today to finish out the rest of the season as a Cleveland Brown quarterback and as our starter. Does something have to happen in the playoffs to solidify Joe coming back to be a part of the roster next year? Or is he just that rental to get us there? And if we lose in the first round, so be it.
In my opinion, from what I've seen, unless he just absolutely just falls apart these last 4 games, as long as he is somewhat serviceable, which he's beyond serviceable at this point. You're not Serviceable guys don't throw for 300 yards.
We've already saw serviceable this year
Exactly.
and below.
Exactly. So I don't see, in my eyes, they need to bring him back, and he needs to be QB2 next year. And then we have DTR as QB3. We all know Flacco doesn't have that many more years probably left in him. Actually, I say that, a week after him throwing for 300 yards, but
But it's true. You're
yeah.
exactly right. We have to. If quarterback is the most important position, not just in the NFL but in professional sports,
Mm-hmm.
how in the quarterback jersey city that we live in, how can we not have that position backed up with what Joe is providing us right now going into next season. I think he needs to be back regardless what happens if we get to the playoffs. If we win in the playoffs, no matter what happens, I think he needs to be back. My problem is I look back at last year and who was our backup last year that started the season because Deshaun couldn't play?
Our man Jacoby.
Yeah, so why we looked at that as Jacoby, what? He had the locker room. He had the respect of the team. And yes, Jacoby, he's still like career just below what 500 as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Joe exceeds that. He's already won a Super Bowl for crying out loud. So I think we need to have that on our roster for two reasons. One, to support and to push and keep Deshaun honest next season in order to get the most out of the most important position on our team in the NFL and in pro sports. To me, as an owner, how can you not bring that back?
Here's something for you. And I was thinking about this earlier because I've already said I pretty much want to bring this guy back. Do you think that they possibly don't bring him back simply to avoid the drama? Because if he plays well these last 4 games, gets the Browns into the playoffs, plays well enough in the playoffs, and they just don't win because they are banged up. I think I saw something ridiculous, like 20, got like, as of now, I think they're well over 25% of their salary cap not being on the field right now. So, do they bring him back or do they not bring him back just to avoid the drama of we know we're Cleveland fans. We know when the quarterback's not playing well, the most popular guy in this city and in any city is the backup QB when the quarterback's not playing well. I want to bring him back, but I can see it already. Deshaun Watson comes out, throws, next year, throws a couple picks in, the opener. The murmurs start. But if he doesn't play well, people are going to be clamoring for Joe Flacco to come in the game.
It won the first interception.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy that you are past the does he have anything left? Is he a statue? Can he fit in the offense? Because the quarterbacks that we've had on the roster are the playbook is for this. Stefanski's did a great job making his playbook fit to the strengths of who's behind quarterback right now. I didn't honestly, as much as I thought Joe would do well, I don't think obviously any of us thought it was going to be to this extent.
No.
Did we win at LA? No, but he looked really good. Like we saw an actual professional quarterback with as many receivers as he hit that game. And in fact, this game, he had Joku, Cooper, Moore, Bell, Ford, Tillman, Akins again to get his one catch like he gets every game. And then Kareem Hunt for one. So he's spreading the ball around. So our concerns about the offense are irrelevant now. And I'm so thankful to be able to say that.
Yeah, agreed. I was concerned that when Chubb went down and then Watson went down, I was like, all right, these between PJ and DTR, like, who is going to support them? Because our run game, consisted of Ford, Kareem Hunt, and I'm like, that's not. If Nick Chubb is back there, you feel a hell of a lot better going into a game with like DTR or PJ. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't feel good about going into a game with PJ. No disrespect, PJ. That's another story.
PJ, thank you for the victories this year.
Exactly.
Thank you for filling in. And thank you for continuing on with your football career.
That's right. But I kind of look at it like with Joe back there, it's clear we're not trying to establish a crazy type of run game because we're throwing the ball almost twice as many times as we're rushing it. But he gives me the same feeling that he seems to give the locker room and the team, and a sense of calm, a sense of control, and a sense of all right, I can do this. So I want him back here next year. I'm not going to get deep into the quarterback wars, because if he comes back, well, believe me, they're coming. They're absolutely coming. If he's re-signed, the Watson versus Flacco debate is going to start. Even though Flacco's 172 years old, but let's just be honest, like he came off the couch and just looked really, really, really good. He's looked better than Watson in this offense.
Well, the
And
debate
Watson,
already started tonight, right?
yeah,
We started a debate,
yeah,
and I'm telling you, it's a great debate to have. I really think he can really, because when you think about it, Joe's demeanor, Deshaun's demeanor,
hmm
they might not be the same guy from a personality standpoint, but I do believe they have that kind of demeanor where they can be soft spoken with their leadership. And that's why I think there might be a good fit for Deshaun to learn from Joe.
true,
You know what I mean? I
true,
really think that, and we've been talking about how, Deshaun can help DTR, develop. But I really think as many Browns fans as we've seen, would we see a good half out of Deshaun this year?
yeah, for the
So
most part,
we need somebody to help Deshaun and bring the best out of him too. The same
yeah,
way Joe is bringing the best out of what's around him on the offense, and that's so encouraging watching the defense celebrate on the bench another passing touchdown. It's a relief that those guys deserve because the defense has been busting their ass, doing everything they can, and yes, that's going to lead me into my next question, but they they have they deserve to have some relief on the scoreboard with double digit leads. We were so close. I was hoping we get that through, go up 3 scores and look like we're going to seal it like an Arizona type game. But the damn turnovers bit us again.
hmm
The main question that I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to ask everybody that's listening, and I'd love to hear some feedback. You know, DM me on X or send me tweets on X. My biggest question that I had after watching that game is that I know what we just saw at home, and I know what we've been seeing on the road. So my question is what are we going to be the rest of the season on the road? We did give up quite a few points this past week, right? So they gave up 27 points.
hmm
That's closer to the road defense than it has been our home defense. So we
true.
gave up a little more than we normally do. But my question is, can we get it together on the road? Because it's highly likely that's where we're going to be to play in the playoffs.
It's a great question. Um, we've got 2 road games left, so I guess we're going to get somewhat of an answer. Which are the games are against Houston and at Cincinnati, which could loom as a huge game. And the Houston game, I don't even know what to think of. I don't even know what to think about Houston, quite honestly. Fantasy football, I was like, oh, they're playing the Jets. I'm gonna take their defense, and they go out and get destroyed. So it's it's a crapshoot. I think, and it's just something that I've said, you've said. It is literally a week to week league. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. But I almost feel like with with the last 4 opponents, Chicago, Houston, at Houston, the Jets on a Thursday, and at Cincinnati. I almost feel like those games, outside of Houston, maybe, are kind of set up for this defense to show up, whether it be at home or on the road. Obviously, Houston, like I just kind of talked about, they seem to be on some Jekyll and Hyde thing. Cincinnati, Browning has looked good, but I mean, let's just be honest. Stefanski owns the Bengals. He owns the Bengals. For some reason, we won't play against we won't play well against any team all year long, and then we play the Bengals.
Well, we need Denzel out there then.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think this defense, obviously, the injuries are not helping. But I think they're going to galvanize and they're going to rally around. All right, you know what? Nobody thinks we can do this. We are banged up, injury list. That's a mile. But I almost believe that like they're going to use that as a rallying cry, and this defense is going to play just as well on the road as it has at home, especially because we're in the middle of a playoff race right now, which we haven't been at this point since the Baker years, what 2020, and we kind of talked about it before. I thought we were going down the road of was that 2014 when Hoyer's got us at 7-4 and we switched to Manziel and we end up losing 5 straight. We're not at that point.
Right.
We're far away from that point. But I think, yeah, you have a very valid question, but I really think this team is coming together right now. And I think this defense is going to shine. What are your kind of thoughts?
My thing is that it's one thing for the defense to give up some more points on the road, but we just gotta tighten up our giveaways, man. We
Sure.
can't just keep giving up the football because that's going to get you beat in any stadium in the NFL. And luckily Jacksonville, we were able, and we didn't mention Martin Emerson. We should have, 2 picks in the game against Jacksonville. Outstanding. Greg Newsome got a pick, second, I think, career pick.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to play a little better on the outside. Because that Jacksonville teams, man, they're no slouch.
No, but I got to ask you this too. Wasn't it so against the Rams? Like both Marty and Newsome looked not that great on the outside without Ward. But coming in against Jacksonville, who I would think has somewhat comparable receivers at that point, with Ridley and Kirk and their tight end Ingram, they looked much better. Those 2 corners, much better.
I think it's the comfort level of being at home.
True.
Peterson's won a Super Bowl, their coach. But his talented but very young Trevor Lawrence, I think that was the key, is that you have a younger quarterback. Yes, he's talented, but he's also playing on the road outside versus when we played the Rams and you got a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Stafford, throwing on turf or, indoors. So I think that had a lot to do with it. And the guys maybe just made some adjustments too.
Yeah.
You get embarrassed a little bit. You try to play better. So I think that's the key to it. All I know is that Justin Fields is probably still having nightmares from the last time he played in Brown Stadium. So hopefully we'll keep him as uncomfortable as he was the last time. That might have been his first start too, I think, if I remember right. If it wasn't, it was one of the first.
Yeah, because I remember
we sacked him like 8 times.
Yeah, and I remember something to the effect of him saying, what did he say? He said, "Oh, prior to I guess the regular season kind of getting started his rookie year or whatever," and they said something to the effect of, "Or what? Is the game too fast for you, or what it is? What is it?" He's like, "No, it's something like, oh, no, it's not too fast for me. I'm picking it up pretty quickly, and yada yada yada." And the Browns came out there and stomped a mud hole in him. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Of course, we'd both be much more confident if we had a semi-full competent or semi-full defense, because they keep dropping like flies. But I don't. Chicago's offense doesn't necessarily scare me. I've obviously I don't want to see Justin Fields go off with his legs, which I think we can be susceptible to. We've watched Lamar do it around here several times. Whether he's scrambling for first down or scrambling to avoid pressure, and thank God Mark Andrews does not play for the Bears, but that seemed to be what Lamar would do, is scramble and find Mark Andrews wide open in the middle of the field for a long gain. But I'm more concerned about their defense because they seem to be playing a little bit better. But I think our defense is going to keep them in check.
That's a very good point because I was just looking. Let's not sleep on the Bears. 128-13 versus the 9-4 Lions last week in
Beat them up.
Chicago.
Beat them up.
Yeah, it was Bears went up 10-0 in the first quarter. Lions came back 13 to go up 13 to 10 and a half. But then the Bears shut them out the second half.
Yep.
So we better be ready to play. I guess I shouldn't even say it that way because I think we're beyond that because we know that our guys are going to be show up ready to play. So I'm not really concerned with the level of play we're going to have, especially at home. If this was at Chicago, we'd be talking a little bit different story. But since we're playing in Cleveland, looks like 46 degrees is going to be the high. Looks cloudy. Oh my gosh, the game's on Fox. Oh, not again.
Oh yeah, I heard Sanchez is going to be on it again. So,
lucky us. Although we should start looking at what our record is with him in the booth. But
I mean, that's what I'm saying. We're 1-1 over the last 2 weeks. I don't know how many other games he's called for the Browns.
What was it? Did he do the Broncos game? He did the Rams game. We lost.
He did Jacksonville. We won.
Did he do the Broncos too? I can't remember.
You might.
You know what? Let's move past that. We're talking about Mark Sanchez. I have definitely better things to do in my life.
Master of the butt fumble.
Yes.
No, I feel, and it's just really weird to say this, but I feel really good where we're at. I don't want to say I have no expectations, but I almost feel like we're playing with house money at this point. Lots of injuries, fourth string quarterback. We're sitting at 8-5 with a chance to control our own destiny as far as making the playoffs. And normally I'd be waiting for the bottom to fall out at this point, and I'm not necessarily seeing that happening. It's odd.
Everything you just said, I don't feel, here's the best part about that. You spoke as a Browns fan, and that makes total sense, what you just said. My favorite thing is what you just said, though. I don't believe is any of the mentality in that locker room.
Not at all.
That's the best part. And they don't. I mean, yeah, of course they love playing at home, and we've shown great support at home and had a lot of success at home this year. But I really think that week to week mentality of just going 1-0. My gosh, it's such a breath of fresh air for this franchise. To almost have that feeling the way some of the LeBron playoff teams were. And when I say that, I mean just the confidence going into a game.
Sure.
Hell, when LeBron and on those good Cavs teams, they really didn't sweat too much of anything in the Eastern Conference.
No.
And I guess that's the kind of way I'm saying it right now is that I think they believe based on what's on the rest of the schedule for the regular season, we can win any game. And then once playoffs hit, I still feel if you have Joe Flacco on the offensive side and you have Myles Garrett maybe getting a little bit more healthy week to week. I mean, we know none of these guys are 100% this late in the season, but as long as those guys are there, we get Denzel back. And I really think we're going to be, as Browns fans, where we used to go, there ain't no way in hell we're going to win this game, but we're going to watch anyway. No, it's a complete opposite. We're going to sit down and we're going to be excited Monday through Saturday and then wake up Sunday like it's Christmas Day. I can't wait for the football game to start.
You just said just the oddest thing to me. It's just odd, And it was, as long as we have Joe Flacco, who the hell thought we'd ever say that for the damn Cleveland Browns? This is crazy.
It sounds like we'd be talking like Madden football or something right now.
As long as we got Flacco, we feel all right.
But it's true.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the guys. You heard Joe talk in the locker room, and you could hear a pin drop, and the guys' eyes were locked on him, and you can tell the respect's there. And God, that's a beautiful thing. We've had some nasty locker rooms since 1999, Mary Kay didn't give us half the dirt that was
Nope.
going on some of the times in that locker room, and now it's completely different. And I am just thankful and I'm sure how thankful you are to be in another year of this Brown and Orange podcast, to be able to talk about some positive things and start actually having a reality of playoffs staring you right in the face, and that we get to spend time talking about it is a blessing.
100%. We've been doing this podcast over a few different names. Since 2021, 20, I think. Yeah, 2020, 2021. Um, and we've only really been able to talk playoffs one time. Normally, at this point of the season, after 13 games, uh, we're always maybe hanging around with the sliver of hope, but we all, kind of know in the back of our minds, like, yeah, it ain't happening this year. Whereas this year, it's like, things are changing. Things seem to be changing. The calls seem to be going more our way than they have in the last, 20 some years. Um, Again, our quarterback goes down, and then all of a sudden we're the ones finding the hidden gem in a Joe Flacco. It's not other teams, being able to find a Nick Foles or another quarterback to come in and play well. We're the ones finding these people.
And Dustin
So
Hopkins.
yeah, Hopkins. I mean, it's just I don't know. Something is brewing here. Something is brewing here. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm hoping it's something that's going to continue on through this season and into next season as well. But I like where we're headed. I'm still gonna criticize Stefanski when he makes mistakes. Um, I really want to yell at him for not running the ball so much, but I'm not gonna argue about no damn win. And he's got control of the locker room, something I don't feel like he had maybe the first few years he was here.
Well, and we've talked about for how many weeks that Jim Schwartz and how important he's been and how he's raised the level of our defense, how Andrew Berry gets the credit of bringing the guys in to help solidify that defensive line, bring a Juan Thornhill back in the safety position, getting Anthony Walker back this year healthy and the leader that he is. And I really think that what Schwartz has done with that defense has had to make and bring the best out of Kevin Stefanski this year. Kevin,
Agreed.
I bet if you ask Kevin, he's probably learned more this year than any of his other seasons on how to handle the adversity that he's had to handle, just not only as a play caller, but a head coach in general. And I think he's earned his extension. Will he get it in the offseason? I don't know. Let's see what happens in the playoffs. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's get out there and spring an upset, and then let's spring another one, and then see what happens. That's what
Agreed.
I'm excited for. I cannot wait to see how this story ends this season, because it could be something really, really special that every Browns fan deserves, especially us old heads, but also the young kids like me. If I was, back in 8th grade when the Browns and the Broncos in 1986 going into January 87, where you really got the taste of playoff football.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget that, because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today about Browns football at the end of 2023 if it wasn't for what happened in 1986. So there's
Agreed.
young kids out there now that are watching the Browns and listening to local sports radio, and hopefully to us, and all that encouragement and all that excitement that they see if their parents are bringing them down to the games and they get to see what Brownstown is really about. And really, we haven't even reached our peak yet. That's what's exciting to me.
Well said. Well said. Well, I'm calling a Browns victory this week. Is there anything you would like to tell the people?
Hey, continue to check us out On X, follow us at Brown and Orange Weekly. At follow Believe Land Media. We're doing a lot of coverage of college basketball at Kent State, still covering boys and girls high school basketball. So please follow Believe Land Media. Our godfather of Believe Land Media, Mr. Kevin Sleds, puts a lot of time of his own time covering games, and then he'll do a lot of work with us, either writing stories. So please check out the website, but check us out on social media. We're doing a lot of videos from these games. We want to help encourage these student athletes to share it as well, as we try to support them and what they're doing to help their schools and their communities and their teams, but also them as individuals and what they want to do after high school. So that's what we like to do, is help promote these young kids in this area that are all out busting their butt, spend a lot of time in practice, and we just think it's a positive thing, and that's what we want to be about here at Believe Land Media, is continue to bring the positive and shine the light in our area, no matter what level of sports you're playing.
Perfect. And you guys know my outro always. Just be nice to each other. You don't know what anybody is going through in their life, so especially during this time of year, the holiday is not always great for everyone. Me myself personally, I get annoyed with all the hustle and bustle that goes on around the holidays, but I try and keep it in mind. Just be nice to one another. Just be nice, be kind, um, and go Browns, and go
I
damn.
can't agree more.
Well, you know what time it is. In the words of that man, that dude, Mr. Pittsburgh started it. Freddie Kitchens. If you do not wear brown and orange, you don't matter. Peace, y'all.
Take care, everybody. Go Browns.